Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is KAVITHA. I'm an actress and a voiceover artist here in Los Angeles, California, and I'm also a patient advocate because for the past decade I have dealt with 5 chronic illnesses that I manage on a daily basis on top of having a busy acting career. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you know that I am a big advocate for second opinions. I am very thankful to have gotten the second opinions that I have because I get to live this relatively normal life now. Speaking of second opinions, last year I got a second opinion with regards to one of my conditions, which is a hormone condition called Pcos. It stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, a common occurrence with PCOS, not all the time, but most of the time, is something called insulin resistance. I'll put the definition of insulin resistance here on the screen, but the way I describe it is it's a lot like having type 2 diabetes without actually having type 2 diabetes. It is very easy to gain weight and very difficult to lose it. No matter kind of what you do. I was eating a low-carb, high-protein diet, and I was exercising the amount of times that you're supposed to exercise when you have insulin resistance, and I was also on diabetes medication, and nothing seemed to be working. So that being said, my doctor started me on weekly self-injections of a drug called Semaglutide, which that is, I believe, the generic name of it. There are brand names, but I'm not going to talk about any brand names. Yeah. You can probably Google and figure out which one it is. I had never injected myself before. I was pretty used to needles because having 5 chronic illnesses, I had to get blood work like every month or every other month, and so I was very used to being stuck with needles. However, sticking myself with a needle was a completely different story. So I was a little intimidated. However, a year later, I would have to say I've got it down to a pretty quick routine. It really doesn't take me longer than 5 minutes max now. And a lot of that was because I implemented different things that helped me along the way. So that's what today's video is about. I'm going to be talking about my 5 tips to help make self-injections easier. Disclaimer. I am not a doctor, I am not a medical professional, I am just a patient sharing what helped me through my journey. Please, 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 if you try any of these things, talk to your doctor or your healthcare professional before doing this to make sure that it's right for you, your medication, and your body. Cool. Let's get into it. So tip number 1, if you can, let your medication come to room temperature before injecting. Now, not every medication allows for this. A lot of medications you have to keep in the fridge right up until injection, and for that I'm really sorry. I don't know how to help you. But my medication can be stored in the fridge and then brought to room temperature before injecting, and it is so much more comfortable injecting room temperature versus ice cold medication. Especially I inject in my stomach, and I have a lot of scar tissue on my stomach, and so it's kind of tricky anyway injecting because it's all very sensitive there. And I forget which injection it was my 3rd or 4th, early on in my injection journey. I injected cold, and it was very painful. Would never do that again. So yeah, if you are able to, let your medication come to room temperature. Tip number 2, let your alcohol wipe dry completely before injecting. Now, if you are familiar to self-injections, you know that you have to wash your hands and disinfect the area you're going to inject before you inject. Now, I use these little alcohol wipes. They're very convenient. They're got them from Target. I think they're Up and Up brand. Oh, I said I wasn't going to say brands. Anyway, I got them from Target. And they're really nice and easy, and I swab the area that I'm going to inject, and something that was actually suggested to me by another patient that's actually on the same medication was to wait for it to dry. The best way I can describe it is when you put hand sanitizer on your hands and you don't realize you have a paper cut, that hand sanitizer lets you know that you have a paper cut. It's kind of the same thing here. One time I injected and I didn't wait for it to dry, and it stung so bad. So yeah, I think that would be a big help. Just let it dry and then go ahead and inject. Tip number 3, grab the skin where you are going to inject, but do not have a death grip on that skin. Okay, So a lot of these medications you are supposed to inject into subcutaneous fat. With my medication, you can inject, I believe, in your stomach, the back of your arm, and I think somewhere in your thigh. I always do my stomach just because it's a lot easier. But something that I didn't do when I first started was I didn't grab my skin. I just kind of stabbed myself with a needle, and that was painful. That was really difficult, so don't recommend that. But then I saw that some people grab their skin. So I started grabbing my skin where I was going to inject. However, because I was so nervous, I had a death grip on my skin. And that actually made injections a lot more painful. Think about it, you're squeezing that skin, it's creating more resistance for the needle. So I would say grab the skin, but grab it lightly, and it will help, it helps stabilize your hand. It also just helps make the process so much easier. I really can't describe it any better than that, but yeah. Tip number 4, have a mantra. Now, this was something that was recommended to me by my therapist because I was having a really hard time getting over the anxiety and the stress of self-injecting. At the time that I talked to my therapist about this, it was taking me half an hour, some cases 2 hours, just to get the needle in my skin. So my therapist suggested having some sort of mantra that you can say that will either help give you the confidence or the courage, or just give you a time frame, like you'd say 1, 2, 3, go, and then you'd inject. That didn't work for me. That was too anxiety producing for me. So I think at the beginning my mantra was something like, this medication is going to help my body be stronger and healthier. And that kind of worked, but also kind of didn't. Nowadays my mantra is much more simple than that. It's literally, the sooner you start, the sooner it's over, which basically for me means the sooner I get the needle in my skin, the sooner I can click the pen. My injection is a pen, it's not a syringe, it's an injectable pen. The sooner I can click the pen, and then I just have to hold it there for 8 seconds, and then I'm done. I am free. I don't have to deal with this until next week. Yeah, have a mantra, because I think that that can really help calm your nerves and also just get you into a routine and a rhythm when it comes to injecting. And my last tip, tip number 5, is to be patient. Be patient with your mind and be patient with your body. Be patient with your mind because injecting it's scary. I'm not gonna lie. It is kind of a daunting topic, especially if you've never done it before. The idea of actively hurting yourself to make yourself better just seems kind of weird. At least that's how I feel. So be patient with your mind. If it's taking you a long time to get your injections done, or you're feeling really anxious about it, or if you have some weeks where you get it done really fast and other weeks where it takes forever. When I first started, like I said, it took me an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours to get it done. Then with my mantra, it kind of helped for a little bit, and I got it down to like half an hour, 15 minutes. But then I had an incident where I injected into like a nerve or something, and it was a very painful injection, and that kind of scared me back to the beginning. So I was back to taking an hour for my injections, and I kind of relapsed, if you will. But of course now, a year later, it's a lot easier for me. However, if I have another painful injection, I'm not going to beat myself up if it takes me a little longer on my next one. So yeah, be patient with your mind, because it's daunting, so it's okay if you're scared. And of course, the last part of that is be patient with your body. With my medication, it's a bit of an adjustment period. Not gonna lie, it's kind of a rough medication, honestly. The side effects are really not fun and rather horrific. With my medication, you're supposed to start on the lowest dose for a month, and that's supposed to get you fully adjusted so that you can go up to the next dose. When I went up on the next dose, that was when all hell broke loose. I really, really struggled on that next dose. When I finally asked my doctor to take me off of it, I had gone to urgent care because I was so malnourished and so dehydrated because this medication, some of the side effects are nausea, vomiting, all those things, and I was like drinking water made me sick to my stomach and made me need to throw up. So it wasn't good. So I asked my doctor to take me back down to the lower. She was totally fine with that. And she was like, oh yeah, I wish you told me sooner that this was happening. I was like, I was trying to get through it. So be patient with your body as it adjusts to this medication. I think I was on the lower dose for, I want to say like 4 or 5 months, and I felt like I was ready to try the higher dose again. So I contacted my doctor and she said, you know, it's up to you. If you want to do it for a week, see how it goes. There's no pressure to stay on it. And so I was like, okay. So I did the higher dose and my body was fine. I was able to be on the higher dose all the way up until the point where I met my goals as far as my A1C and my weight went. And now we have me down on the lower dose for maintenance for, I don't know how many more months I have left, but only a few more months. And then I get to come off this medication completely, because we think that my body can do it on its own now, which is really exciting. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I think I'll make more of these kind of videos. If you'd like to hear more about my experience, my conditions, or any other tips I might have as far as being an advocate for yourself in the healthcare industry, let me know. Put them in the comments below, and I hope this video was helpful to you or somebody you love, whoever is watching this. And if you yourself have to do weekly injections and you have tips that help make the process easier or less painful, leave them down below. And if you have a mantra, let me know what it is. But of course, disclaimer, none of us are doctors. We are all patients. Please consult your physician before trying any of these things. So please, if you like this video, like and subscribe. This is my first video. I don't know where any of these buttons are, but please do that. And lastly, you are the expert on what it's like to live in your body. You know when it feels right, and you know when it doesn't. Don't ever let a test result or a doctor tell you otherwise, and never feel bad about getting a second opinion. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Bye!